There it goes. Okay, so again, Shavua Tov, everybody. I want to again talk about how privileged we all are, that we are literally blessed every single day with another beautiful woman who comes and brings their beautiful nekudas from their neshamas to us in all different diverse ways. So today I really would like to thank Yehudit Sarah for bringing Fayge Grossman. Fayge is from Baltimore and lives in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, with her husband and 8 children, Kinei Nahara, Bli Ayin Hara. She teaches classes on Emunah and Bitachon to women and counsels individuals to find menuchas and nefesh in their own lives, which means like a sense of calm within themselves. So to contact her, please email FM Grossman, and as you know, I will do all that. I will send her American landline, the call, or and her email, so that anybody who wants to contact her, I'll put it on the WhatsApp groups. So Fayge, are you there? Are you there? I'm going to take myself off. Fayge? 1 second. Maybe it was too long for her. 1 minute. Fayge, are you there?
You just have to unmute yourself, okay?
Did she unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, we're going to go off video and we can hear you perfectly. Go ahead, Fayge. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure and a big schus. Now that I just got a little taste of who I'm speaking to, I'm in awe. And it's really a schus to speak to you. And I thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you to my neighbor, Naomi, who submitted my name. And to all of Nishmat for inviting me. And for all your tfilos and all your hard work and your avodas Hashem that is bringing Mashiach closer and giving us the world that we really want to be living in. As you said, I live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and I give Emunah and Bitachon classes to women. I counsel individuals to bring Menuchas HaNefesh, calm, into their lives, and to bring Hashem into every situation. I'd like to speak about Hakaras Hatov and Yisurim being 2 sides of one coin. And it's a coin that helps us to acquire menuchas hanefesh, tranquility, peace of mind, and a close, loving relationship with Hashem. One time, there was a villager whose wife came home and said to him, they say in the marketplace that Mashiach has come. So the villager sticks his nose out the window, gives a sniff, turns to her and says, no, Mashiach hasn't come yet. Now, if this person is on such an elevated level that he's able to know whether Mashiach came by a sniff, why did he have to stick his head out the window? And the answer is because when he was in his own home, he was already living Mashiach's times. He thought about Hashem. He recognized that everything comes from Hashem. He was recognizing that everything comes from goodness, Hashem's constant chesed. And he was always thanking Hashem. So in his own home, he felt Mashiach already. But when he stuck his head out the window, he could see that people were still blaming and shaming other people, not bringing Hashem into everything, not noticing the good in everything. And so no, Mashiach had not yet come. Now, this is a really high and exalted level, but we would love to get there. How do we get to that place where really we see Hashem in everything, where we recognize the good in everything? So really we know in Yiddishkeit, you can't jump madrigas. So how do we go through a process where we will be able to get there? And we want to be in this process, and we know we have to take baby steps, and that's okay. But where do we even start? The Sefer Bovavi Mishkan Evne tells us that we start with something that's so basic, you would laugh that it has to be part of our avoda, that we'd have to work hard on it. And yet, he says you need to say all the time, every 15 minutes, set an alarm to say 3 magic words. Yesh, Bore, Olam. There is a creator of the world. Hashem is everything. Hashem's will is shown in every single thing that exists. How do I see Hashem? By always saying Yesh Borei Olam, I will be on that mindset of looking for Hashem in everything. Everything I hear, everything I see, everything I experience, Yesh Borei Olam. There is a creator who created that experience. Ani ma'amin be'emunah shalema shehaborei yisparach shemo hu borei umanhig. He is, in the present tense, creating and guiding lechol haberuim, everything in creation. So no matter what I'm going through, it all comes from Hashem. So we want to start with something very basic, like Yesh Borei Olam. Every 15 minutes, you set a little alarm. Yesh Borei Olam. Every time the phone rings, Yesh Borei Olam. You just want to say the words. The more you say the words, the more they start to go into your heart. Of course, we all know Yesh Borei Olam. We all know there's a creator up here in our minds. But how do we get things from our minds that we know are important into our hearts? That's by repeating things many times. Ha'amanti ki adaber. The reason I have so much emunah is because I don't stop talking emunah. And every conversation I have has emunah, has Hashem, until I become somebody who's constantly focused on Hashem, and Hashem is in everything. And I don't go a few minutes without thinking, oh, that was from Hashem. So we want to start there with something very basic, and then we want to move on. So, you wouldn't stick a boy and a girl under the chuppah with them not knowing each other at all. First, you would give them the other one's name. What's the name, right? Yesh Borei Olam. We want to know who Hashem is. We would really like to get under the chuppah with Hashem in a strong, loving relationship that's a commitment forever. More than 120 years, forever. But how do we get there? We have to start with basics. Who is he? Tell me about this person that I'm supposed to have such a close relationship with. His name is Yesh Borei Olam. And that's where we would start. But it's not enough. You still can't go under the chuppah with Yesh Borei Olam. You can't go under the chuppah just knowing the other one's name. The next thing you would need to do is find out about the person, their personality, their midos. Tell me about them. So I'm going to tell you about Hashem. In benching, in the fourth bracha, what do we say? HaMelech HaTov v'HaNeitiv Lakol. The king who is good, and the nature of someone who is good is that they want to bestow good. Shebechol yom v'yom, that every single day, who hativ, who meitiv, who yitiv lanu. He was doing good for us. He is doing good for us. He will do good for us. Hu gimalanu, hu gom leinu, yikbalinu la'ad, and he's always bestowing upon us lecheinu, lechesed, lerachamim, grace, mercy, chesed, constantly. Ani Hashem lo shinisi. I, Hashem, don't change. It's a constant. This giving of Hashem is a constant. So anything that we experience in life comes from Hashem's midas hachesed. Even if it's painful, inconvenient, etc., that's the Yisurim piece, it's still stemming from, we think, the midas hadin, strict judgment. But even that comes from the midas harachamim. So now that we understand that Hashem has this midah of constantly giving, we're ready to go open a sefer called Tomer Devora. The Tomer Devora speaks about Hashem's Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy. Now, I'm not going to go through all 13, but I will mention the first 3. Mi kel kamocha, who is like you, Hashem? You give and you give and you give, and the people that you give to use those gifts and against you. They take the gift of speech and they say Lashon Hara. They take the money that you've given them and they don't use it correctly. They use the gifts against you, and yet Hashem takes away those gifts. You keep on giving until the person finally does tshuva. Not only that, but nosei avon is the second one. You carry the sin. When a person does an aveira, they create a mashchis, a destructive angel. And every single thing that is created needs to be sustained. So this mashchis goes to Hashem and says, Ribono shel Olam, so-and-so created me with the aveira that they did. So Hashem should say, well, then go to so-and-so and get your food. And so this mashchis would go to the person, and unfortunately, he doesn't eat pizza. He needs something that's a ruchnius food, and he would have to take the person's neshama, give them a major onesh, give them Yisurim until their Aveira is completely cleaned away, and then the Mashchis would be nullified. But Hashem doesn't do that. Hashem has such patience. He himself sustains this Mashchis until one of three things happens. Either the person does tshuva, gets Yisurim, and the Mashchis goes away. Or the person is nifter and their death is a kapara, takes away the Aveira, or they have to go to Gehenna in the next world and get their punishment. And finally, that mashchis, that destructive angel, it goes away. But Hashem has another midah. And that midah is over al pesha, that Hashem himself, after the person did tshuva and they got their yisurim, Hashem himself does the laundry. Hashem himself wipes away that stain and that shmutz from the person's neshama. It's the king himself who is going to do that. And so Hashem, we really wouldn't want him to have to do all our dirty laundry. We'll be careful not to eat spaghetti with sauce and get it all over our shirt. We'll be careful not to do aveiros that's going to make Hashem have to go and clean our laundry, clean our neshama. It's going to remind us when we know that it's the King of all kings is coming to clean off my neshama, well, then I better be careful. Don't give him such a big job. So those are some of the midos of Hashem. He is giving, he's forgiving, he's patient, he's unconditionally loving. Well, yeah, sure, I'd like to have a relationship with someone with those kind of midos. How do I do it? How do I begin with this relationship? So again, go back to our mashal. The next step would be a date. They need to talk. In a relationship, there has to be communication. With the relationship with Hashem, there has to be communication. We have to talk to Hashem. Our default speech to Hashem should be hakaras hatov. Constantly thinking and thanking. Hakaras hatov. Hakara means to recognize. We're not talking about lip service. Make sure you said your thank yous today. We are talking about thinking and thanking. Hakaras hatov. Recognize that Hashem did good for you. And from there, say thank you. Let's say I'm going to make a peanut butter sandwich for my children. I want to go into the details of the sandwich, not just thank you, Hashem, for the sandwich, but thank you, Hashem, for the counter to work on, and that is clear. Thank you, Hashem, for the bread, the knife, the peanut butter. The cover is on the peanut butter. No little kids stuck their fingers in there, I can tell. Thank you, Hashem, my younger children can have peanut butter, whereas my older ones couldn't, and I could even have it in the house by now. Thank you, Hashem, that this is going to give them energy to go learn Torah. I want to keep on focusing on how many details. Am I standing on my own 2 feet? Can I see the sandwich? Can I be careful with the knife that it shouldn't cut me, etc.? Whatever I can put into one situation, as many thank yous as I could put in, that is going to create that relationship. I'm going to feel that Hashem is giving me. David Amel said, he felt he was eating out of Hashem's hands, Rev Miller says. You start to get this feeling that Hashem is feeding you and Hashem's taking care of you and Hashem is constantly giving. Who hates it? He's always doing good and always giving. So we want to be really on a default of focusing on the good and focusing on thanking Hashem. But we do know that in this coin, there are 2 sides. So we want to stay as long as possible on the side of the coin that says Hakaras Hatov. But what happens when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us Yisurim? We want to know the right perspective on the Yisurim so that I can flip back to the gratitude side. I really want to have Hakaras Hatov, and I want to have Hakaras Hatov no matter what, because that is where I'm going to feel that loving, close relationship without feeling a distance, a machitza between me and Hashem, because something's very uncomfortable. So if I have the correct perspective on the Yisurim, Be'ezus Hashem, I'll be able to be back on the Hakaras Hatov side. So we have to know, what are Yisurim and what's the point of Yisurim? And what do I get out of Yisurim? Chazal teach us, Ein Yisurim below chet. Why do Yisurim come to a person? Because Hashem decides which Aveira we're still holding on to. And he wants to clean it off. He doesn't want us to hold on to it for 120 years. He wants to clean it off. The way Hashem cleans off Yisurim, cleans off one of our Aveiros, is through Yisurim, pain, difficulty, tribulations, whatever translation you want to use for the word Yisurim, which I hope will change by the end of this talk. But for now, anything that we don't like, anything we would label bad, even though we know nothing is really bad in this world. So those are the things that we would call Yisurim, and they are all there to clean off the Aveira of the day that Hashem chose that we're going to clean off. So how small are Yisurim? Where does this program start? At what point can I say, oh, now I'm starting to get a cleanup? How small do the Yisurim have to be? Rabbi Saul Salanter was once visiting the Queen of England many, many years ago, and she had finally had a baby after many years of waiting. And she said to Rabbi Yisrael, I don't know exactly the details of the story, why he was there, but she said to him, you know, I would do whatever I could that my child shouldn't have any shouldn't have any pain, shouldn't have any things go wrong. I would protect him as much as I could that he should not have any problems. So Rabbi Saul said to her, what would you do if your son put his hand in his pocket to take out his handkerchief and it was the wrong pocket? So now he has to stick his hand in the other pocket. What would you do then? Nah, I'm not talking about those kind of things. That's just, part of life. I'm talking about the bigger things. When Rabbi Saul left the palace, he said, Ribono Shalom, you love us so much that even if we would do that and put our hand in the wrong pocket, you would already be giving us a cleanup. You'd already be taking care of whatever Aveira of the day. You would give us schar, you would give us reward for going through the difficulty of putting my hand in the wrong pocket. You would help me to grow because I'm remembering to put Hashem in the situation. You would help me to come closer to you because now that Aveira is gone, the mechitza that was separating us is away. I can be closer to you, Hashem. Not only that, but you also open up a door of bracha to come down, a shefa from Shamayim that's going to come down. All these beautiful brachos that we're looking for can come down because I got this Yisurim, because I put my hand in the wrong pocket. Do you see how much Hashem loves us? That's already a way for us to take the Yisurim and go back to the Hakaras HaTov side. Thank you, Hashem, for that cleanup and for all the brachos you give me because of it. So Chazal teach us, the Pele Yoed speaks very much about Yisurim and how beloved and dear the Yisurim are. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it's beautiful. And there's many, many aspects of Yisurim. But he says that how do Chazal define Yisurim? They already start if a person puts his hand in his pocket to take out 3 coins, but he only takes out 2. So now he has to put his hand back in his pocket to take out the 3rd coin. He's already accomplished. He gets the kapara. He gets schar for going through. Hashem rewards us for going through the Yisurim. He already is growing closer to Hashem, and he's growing as a person, and he's opening the door of bracha to come down. Why? Because he had to put his hand in his pocket the 2nd time. They also say if a person put his sleeve, if the sleeve is the wrong way, now he has to put his hand in to put the sleeve the right side in, right? That's already Yisurim. I was very excited the other day. My friend gave me the library books from my library. She returned them and she put the 4 shekel in there that she owed me. So I took out the books and I put my hand in the bag to take out 4 shekel and I only took out 3. So I had to put my hand back in to take out the 4th one. I was so excited. Hashem, you're helping me live Chazal. I had to put my hand back in. I'm getting a cleanup. Thank you so much. This is great. And I was like almost doing a dance in the middle of my kitchen because Hashem let me live that Chazal, that he's already cleaning me up from whatever Aveira it was. And now I'm closer to Hashem. So I was very excited to be actually living that Chazal. And not only that, but I like to put it into, very little things because that's the place to start. We start Avodas Hashem with things that are very basic and we grow from there. So my favorite one, which is not a Chazal, is when you drop your peeler, you didn't drop your peeler. Hashem dropped the peeler for you. What does that mean? Hashem had his Aveira of the day that he wanted to clean up from your pekala. And he doesn't want you holding on to it for too long. He wants to get rid of it now so you don't have to think about it. So Hashem decides, how am I going to get rid of that Aveira? I'm going to give Fayge Grossman some Yisurim. And then when I do that, she will have that cleanup. She'll be closer to me. So Hashem will drop my peeler for me. If I go and say, thank you, Hashem, that you cleaned me up, I've gotten that kapara. That's all I have to do. That's the avoda. Say thank you to Hashem that he cleaned you up. What happens though, if I think that I'm such a shlemazel, I'm always dropping things and it's just not the right time. I can't get things moving. And if I'm always dropping things, and so I feel like I'm angry that this keeps happening. I get frustrated. I'm, so to speak, kicking back. I don't want this right now. When I do that, it's possible I may get an ounce of kapara. I might get a drop of cleanup, but I don't get the whole full package that I could be getting if I would say, thank you, Hashem, for the cleanup. 6 words. Thank you, Hashem, for the cleanup. So if I do that, then I am getting that whole package. I'm getting, if I say thank you, I get all the brachos that come along. And if I really feel it and I put my heart into it, it might clean up a few more averos. It does a better job. It certainly does more than if I would wait till achar mea ve'esrim and I have to deal with it in the next world. I would have to suffer a lot more. For the same avera, I would have to suffer a lot more. In this world, it's much cheaper. If you get Yisurim, and Hashem starts simply, He doesn't start with the alarms and the sirens and get it very loud. Hashem starts simply. You dropped your PLR, thank you, Hashem, for the cleanup. Hashem doesn't want it to have to be a very loud wake-up call. He'd rather that you are awake, and right away, as soon as a tiny little thing that's inconvenient happens, right away, you're able to say, thank you, Hashem, for the cleanup. You've gotten it. You've done the job. And now we're still on the Hakaras HaTov side. But now we're going to make it a little bit more complicated. There are things called people. And when people get involved, it's very hard for us to see it as coming from Hashem because people are real and live and right in front of us. And it's much harder for us to deal with Yisurim that have people. But if we had the formula, if we knew how to deal with it, then we could deal with people and we could deal with all of our situations. So how do we work it when there are people involved? I'm going to give an example. Let's say you're in the supermarket and someone pushes in front of you in line. Let's say you're in a rush to go get your child from GAM, or something else is going on right after you have an important meeting. You really can't deal with someone pushing in front of you in line. You really need to be the one who's going to pay now. So you might get angry. You might say some nasty words. You might, whatever negative reaction might happen. It might happen. But how do I get it so that it doesn't happen again? So that my midos are in line with Hashem's beautiful midos. The halachta b'drachav, I want to follow Hashem. All those beautiful midos that we said about Hashem, He's giving, He's forgiving, He's unconditionally loving, He's so patient. I want to be like Him, and I want to be close to Him so that I could learn from Him. But I see I didn't quite do it in that situation. So how do I get to a point where I'll be able to react in line with Emunah? The best way that I've seen to do this is not necessarily in the moment because you haven't done the job yet, but later, when you have a few minutes and you can sit by yourself and do hisbodados and talk to Hashem about it, that will be the time to analyze the situation. When you sit down with Hashem, you can take your coffee if you want, and you sit down with Hashem and the first thing you would do before analyzing the situation is you would go back to your Hakaras HaTov. Was I standing in the supermarket? Hashem, thank you that I could stand on my own 2 feet. The store had what I needed. I had the money to pay. Baruch Hashem, there was no traffic accident on the road when I was driving to the store. I can see, so I can get everything that I need, etc. All the things that you could think of that are Hakaras HaTov. Recognize that Hashem is still giving you good, even though that piece hurt you. Everything else is good. The bigger picture is good, and only the little picture is difficult. Whereas human beings naturally blow up the bad into a big picture, and the good they keep in the tiny little box. Let's get to the emes. Hashem Elokeichem emes. What's the truth? The truth is that the good keeps on coming. Hashem is constantly doing good. We want to be focused on Hakaras HaTov, recognizing that Hashem keeps giving. When something difficult happens, that's when we would want to focus on it, but let's not forget the whole picture. The whole picture is good and the little box is difficult. When we have that balance, we do much better. So we want to start off opening the door of bracha by thanking Hashem. Anything that you could think of that was going on with that situation or anything else that you want to thank Hashem for, start by thanking Hashem. The second thing in hisbodados is tshuva. That means I want to think of something that perhaps I did wrong. Maybe I did say not nice words to that person who pushed in front of me. Maybe I got angry. Maybe I was seething angry inside. Whatever it is, that's not in line with Hashem's perfect midos. So I would say, Hashem, I'm sorry I got angry at this person, right? So I say I'm sorry. I say what I did wrong. Hashem, please help me do better next time. Teach me emunah and bitachon so I can live with simcha and menuchas hanefesh. So then I go to the third place, the third piece of my hisbodedus, and that would be the analyzation. That's where I say, Hashem, I want to take the situation that I was in that was hurtful, and I want to analyze it so that I could bring you into the whole situation. This is not outside of you because nothing is outside of you. I want to bring you into the situation. I take the situation and I divide it into three parts. There's me, there's what happened to me, and there's the person who did it. Where I was and when it happened and what my mood is on that day and my personality and anything that went on in that situation is all from Hashem for me. That's the first step. That I shouldn't think, oh, I put myself into a situation. If only, there's no would have, should have, could have. I should have come a little earlier or later. Hashem put you here exactly now. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with the picture up to now. You are in the right place. After you figure out how to put Hashem into the me part, that Hashem put me in this situation, and it's a perfect world. So far, so good. Everything is exactly according to plan. Then I go to the second piece. The second piece is that someone pushed in front of me in line. The fact that I got pushed away is the kapara. It's dropping the piolar. It's exact same thing as if Hashem made me take 3 coins out of the bag instead of 4, except that it hurts a little more because it came from a person, because I'm in a rush. For whatever reason, it triggers deeper. For some people, it'll trigger a little bit. For some people, it'll trigger a lot. But what we want to get to is the understanding that the actual maisa, forget about the person for now, the maisa, the action that happened to me was meant to be for me from Hashem. We call that hashgacha pratis. Hashem put that into my life for me because he wants to clean me up, because he wants to give me schar, because he wants to teach me how to grow, because he wants me to get the kapara, because he wants me to be closer to him, because he wants to open the door of bracha. There are many, many things that Kadosh Baruch Hu may want from me. And in order to give it to me, he needed this particular circumstance to happen. So when that happens, all I want to recognize is that that whole thing was a setup from Hashem. Hashem set it all up and plopped me into the picture. So if I go back to the tshuva part, I could say, Hashem, I'm sorry that I got angry. But even if I can't know, so in certain circumstances, I'm not sure why I'm getting Yisurim. I don't even know what the Aveira was. But tshuva means tashuv, hey, come back to Hashem, start talking to Hashem more, and that's what we're doing. We are talking to Hashem, we're coming back to Hashem. Thinking about Hashem, you're back with Hashem. It's the mitzvah of dveikus. The mitzvah of dveikus, of clinging to Hashem, means thinking about Hashem and thanking Hashem and singing and dancing to Hashem. Whatever you do, crying to Hashem, whatever you do with Hashem, that's the mitzvah of dveikus. So back to our analyzation, if I cut the situation in 3 parts, I understand that Hashem put me here. I understand that the thing that happened to me is from Hashem to clean me up. It's good. I'm still on Hakaras HaTov now. Thank you, Hashem, for the cleanup. But then comes the tricky part. How do I look at the person that's involved? The person that's involved, Hashem chose them to be the one who caused me difficulty, the one who caused me the inconvenience. So really, what I'd like to say, typically what I do say, is that in negative situations, there are no people. So all we want to focus on is if it looks like a person, he's just one of Hashem's messengers. He's a shliach from Hashem. Now, it happens to be that this shliach might have just done an aveira. And so he will have to do tshuva with Hashem, but my job is not to be mechanechim. And if I'm angry, my job is not to give him musar. The only way I could say something to this person who pushed in front of me is if I've done all the work. I know Hashem put me here. I know Hashem made this whole thing come. And if I have menuchas hanefesh, because everything is perfect, there's no problem here, I can say to the person, I wish I could let you go in front of me, but I'm really in a rush. I'm sorry, but I can't. But if I can say it non-emotionally. As long as I can say with menuchas hanefesh, then we're good. If I'm going to get angry, then I should just keep quiet and turn the energy into a tefillah to Hashem, even in my own mind, even if I don't say the words, but use the opportunity of Yisurim. Something is hurting and I'm not going to answer back, and I'm not going to yell at this person. I'm not even going to get angry at them out loud. I'm keeping everything in, but I dive into Hashem and I turn it all into a tefillah. That's a very powerful tefillah. So this person, it's true that they have bechira and they chose to push in front of me in line, but I have no idea why they did it. Perhaps they didn't see me. Perhaps they also feel they're in a rush. I don't know. I could be done the kaf zechus. I could just judge them favorably and let go. It's much easier to be done the kaf zechus when I recognize that they're just a shliach. It's a setup for them. They were put there in order to get me a kapara. Then okay, just leave it alone. Don't worry about that person. They have to make their own cheshbon with Hashem. But that's not my worry. I have enough of an avoda to make sure I'm doing without worrying about that person's avoda. So I want to say to Hashem, I understand that you are involved in every part of this. But Hashem, what do? I'm going to be late picking up my child from Gan now. So to that, the answer is that I daven. Anything that this situation will maybe affect a later situation, anything that has to do with the future, that's where tefillah comes in. Hashem, please help the ganenet not be upset that I'm going to be a few minutes late picking up my child. But I'm trying to have menuchas hanefesh and stay calm in this situation. Let's say I say it nicely to the person. I'm sorry, but I'm not able to give you that chance to go in front of me because I'm in a rush. And they go anyway, and they don't listen to me. That's where I would stop and just say, Hashem, this is your business. You can work out the future. Anything that comes out from this is in your hands. You'll take care of it, Hashem. Hashlich al Hashem Yahavcha. Then throw it all on Hashem. So what we want to know is that when we analyze this situation, that already is a form of tshuva. Just thinking, how could I do better in the future? We don't want to knock ourselves. Oh, how did I get angry again? We don't want to be knocking ourselves because that doesn't help us grow. What helps us grow is to learn something for the future and then let go. So we say, Hashem, now that I've analyzed this picture and I understand that I was meant to be in this place, that this was meant to happen to me, that this person was picked by you, but harbe shluchim lamakom, you have many messengers. It could have been somebody else. I'm not going to get angry at them. Hashem, please help me to bring Emunah into my life so that I can be calm in all the situations. Once we do that and we practice it, we become committed to Emunah and Bitachon, and by then we can then stand under the chuppah with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, loyal to Hashem, that no matter what, we will bring him in and we will come back to the side of Hakaras Hatov. Hatzlacha Rabba. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Sorry, that was so amazing. Thank you so much. That was really beautiful and so helpful, and so interesting how you spoke about this today. I want to know, before we go on, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to ask anything concerning what Fayge spoke about?
Naomi, I also feel it was incredible to have this happen today, because I was feeling so, I had a little bit of, I was thinking about what you said about what happened with you and your daughter. And I was really thinking that I'm starting a project of Hakaras Hatov in honor of my father's yahrzeit, who was a Holocaust survivor, and giving all the Holocaust survivors the tikkun of Hakaras Hatov, which they had a hard time doing. Wow. So I was thinking that perhaps the only thing I could think of, because I'm starting this project, is that I wonder what would happen if you would have, if you could, I don't know. First of all, I want you to know that I think Hashem put you in that position because you're such a holy neshama, that you have such Ahavas Yisrael, that now you're elevated to a next level, which probably most people, or for sure I couldn't handle. But I was just wondering, in your shoes, if this woman, if you could have told her something, some kind of compliment, like, wow, you do your job really well. You're a real good, you do what you need to do, or some kind of, I'm sure you could figure out something to say to her that would give her a certain compliment that might diffuse her her position that might have brought in, a little bit of love into her life so that she could see that what she's doing was harmful and was not right. Maybe not perhaps right away, but later. And if we can all cultivate that Hakaras HaTov in each person, seeing their good and seeing what's good about them with Ayin Tova and being able to present it to them, that would really have helped. That could help them grow to a point where they could do better. That I think is it could be some kind of tikkun for this difficulty that we are going through these days. I was just wondering about that, and certainly everything that Fayge shared here was amazing. I took 4 pages of notes, and it's incredible. It's like it was so helpful. So thank you so much. Hatzlacha, everybody.
The whole idea, Chaya,
Big plus.
of Hakaras HaTov is also Ahavas Yisrael. The more we have Hakaras HaTov, and I think Aliza brought that up on the day that Yocheved Rottenberg. I did something to my oven. I don't know what I did there. Yocheved Rottenberg spoke. Yocheved, it keeps going off. Yocheved Rottenberg spoke. I think that Elisa brought up the whole concept that everybody that day should take upon themselves the idea of really writing down a Hakaras HaTov to somebody that they never had before.
Right.
Or they didn't show enough of Hakaras HaTov to that person, and it is very, very important. It's unbelievable. It's a beautiful thing you're doing. Really, really, mamish.
Thank
beautiful.
you. Especially where it's the most difficult, when there's a child that's really challenging you in every which way. I noticed. I did it with one of and I see what an amazing miracle.
Right.
You blow into
it's like
them.
A muscle.
Yeah,
it's like
you
using
blow
a
into
muscle.
them.
It's like building a muscle.
Exactly.
Right.
That's godly. That's what Hashem does. He gives us favors for nothing. He finds the good and he helps us survive throughout everything. So if we do that, even the most difficult challenge time with a person who's actually hurting you, to find the good, that I think that could be a tremendous tikkun. Now Hashem will open that up a lot more for us with Hashem's help.
Amen. Amen, Chaya.
Thank
Amen.
you. Thank you.
You should have so much success in your beautiful.
Thank you.
All
Thanks
learn from you to do Hakaras HaTov. It's so interesting because I was learning on Shabbos from Morgenstern. He talked about when you do something over and over again, day after day in our generation, because we're different in our generation, but we're starting Shavavim, right, which is really a tkufa of tshuva for us. And he said that when you do something day after day after day after day, it's almost like you're fasting. It's comparable to the previous generations that took upon themselves fasting. We don't have the kalim to do that anymore in our tshuva. So we do tshuva in different ways. And he said that one of the things is that when we repeat something and we continue to do it day after day after day, it's comparable to us fasting. The same idea of fasting. Okay, I'm sorry. I see that Alyssa, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Alyssa?
yeah. I have a friend who has little babies, and she lost them to a man that's a bad man, and she can't even see her children. She's also a physician. It's just that because he had controls in the courts and bribed and things like that. So I want to know if there's any way that I can get her in contact with you, and maybe you can help her. She's suffering so much.
Are you talking to Fayge?
Yeah, to Fayge.
Yeah.
Like, talk with the Surim and all.
I'd be happy to, I'm happy to speak to her and give her some chizuk, a direction, like just to think in a certain direction and to maybe small avoda things to work on to just help her be centered so she can feel that Hashem is with her and has not abandoned her. Those are things I could speak to her.
Can I get your phone number for her to call?
Yeah, is it going to be on an email?
Pardon?
Yomi, I think, is going to put on an email.
Yeah, I'm going to, Alyssa, I'm going to post all of Fayge's information right after the class on the WhatsApp.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
So
thank you
it'll
very
be there.
much. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Hi.
I see.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. I have I'm going through a very, very terrible time. I want to know if this issue concerns a guy that happens to be doing something, not another Yid, but my brother is in a nursing home and he's not being treated properly, and I have a lot of problems. I probably have to do litigation. The administrator of the hospital is a guy, and they are lying about certain things or whatever. And I'm just like, I can't cope with this, and it's really hurting me. I want to know, is this what Fayge is referring to? Is this mostly with
No,
Eden, or
no, I
or
think,
does
I
it
think
deal
you
with
have,
a guy too?
no, I think you have to, you have to take care of your brother. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I understand. But I mean, if in general, if does this, the issues that I enjoyed listening to her very much. These issues concerning mostly a yid and a yid, or a guy that is doing something that's not proper. We're living on different levels here. You know, they don't care about what's truth and not truth. They are
Yeah,
only
that doesn't
worried
really
about their
change the
job and how
picture.
they can look better. This
There's
is
still another person. Somehow there's still a shliach for causing us pain. So what we want to do is recognize that they're shliach from Hashem, get to a place where Hashem is in the picture, and then go do your hishtadlos to try to work through and get it to work better for your brother, and get the authorities to understand that there's things going on here that are incorrect. But when you want to go into a court, when you want to go in to speak to somebody, of authority, you want to first have put Hashem in the whole picture. You want to first make sure that you're clear that this is from Hashem, because you feel pain. You're going through it yourself. It's not just your brother. You're going through it. You want to make sure that first I have put Hashem into my situation, but from there, I can then go a little bit with more menuchas hanefesh. I can still be assertive and make sure he gets the care he needs. That's okay. But I want to first have put Hashem in, because with Hashem, Hakol Yachol, he could fix the whole problem, right? Nothing's too hard for Hashem. It's only that I have to first recognize that it was from Hashem for me. The fact that I'm aware of it and I feel pain about it means I'm already getting that cleanup, and I'm getting closer to Hashem. And after I've brought Hashem in, please go take care of him. But you'll see that you're coming not from a place of anger and revenge, and I better make sure, but you're coming from a place of Hashem. What's my mitzvah now? What am I supposed to do? And who should I speak to with you, Hashem? And then you come to a much different place than desperation, and they better listen to me. You come with Hashem and a strength, and then go do your mitzvah. There's a slight break in between how you feel and what you're going to do about it. You've put Hashem in first, and then you feel that it's easier to go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. But certainly, the V'ahavta kamocha certainly applies to helping your brother. That's for certain. And then the shliach, the messenger from Hashem, doesn't matter actually who they are and where they're from, because they're just a shliach. But I have my mitzvah, what I need to do.
Well, I did realize after reading through Gracious and seeing what Abraham went through and the Avot, that they went through a lot of nisyonot, and I'm thinking, all of a sudden it hit me. Hashem is putting me through an nisayon, via my brother or whatever. But it is still very, very difficult it's very
The
difficult.
harder something is, the more schar we're going to get, the more cleanup we're going to get, the more close to Hashem we're going to feel. So it's not that it's just getting we're getting a major deal. Lefum Sarah Agra, the harder it is to do this work, but I do it, the more I'm going to get out of it, and the more I'm going to feel Hashem is with me taking care of this problem.
It's very tough.
Wow.
Very, very hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
Because of all
We're
the
gonna just
lying
take-
that they've been lying and hiding information. And it goes so deep, very, very deep.
I just want to share what happened to me in coming to Florida from Canada. Now they might be closing everything down, but we're so looking forward to 2 years, not seeing our children, and we had an apartment renovated, didn't even see that, did everything over Zoom. And I knew there was going to be a lot of issues. So we get to the airport, and the woman at the airport accepts my negative COVID test, but she looks at my husband and she said, well, where's yours? And he said, it's right here from the State Board of Health of New York. I was in New York at the time, and I got COVID, and here I quarantined for the 10 days. And as of October something, I'm fine, but I'm still going to have a positive test. So it says right here, she goes, oh no, we don't know if we can take that information. You might have to stay here. So all my dreams and hopes, and in that moment was like, boom, they plummeted. And I started getting worked up, and my husband turned to me and he looked at me and said, don't worry, we're going to get through this. And he's usually the one that isn't like that. So I started saying Psalm 20 over and over. It had to go to, okay, she's going to take it to her supervisor. And then she's going to take it to the Air Canada manager. And then the manager had to take it to his manager. It cost us an hour of waiting. And by the time we got into one of the lines, there were many, many lines and many rooms to go through. It was impossible. And this non-Jew behind me said, you know, you might not make your flight. I said, I know. And so my husband walks with a cane at the airport because he had a hip replacement. And it's a good sympathy tool sometimes. So I said, use it. Go and find somebody. We have to get on that plane. I really want to go to Florida. Please, Hashem, let us go. He went, and the first guy said, oh, no, the airlines has to handle it. We cannot help you. There's no one from Air Canada around. Anyway, he found someone. They brought us to the front of the line, and Baruch Hashem, we made it on the plane. And when we got here, we had no cell phone, no internet, no nothing. And we had already set it up before, so nothing worked. And again, I started to getting worked up, and he looked at me and he said, you know, you're the one who always says this is from Hashem, this is for the good. Let's look at it from that perspective. So the whole day, the internet and the phone kept going, crashing. We finally decided, okay, we're going to let go. And they say it's fixed, but it's not fixed, but that's okay. And you know what? It worked. And now we're going to switch companies, but at least for the rest of the time that we're here, it worked. So it was like letting go was really huge. And my automatic go-to was not, oh, thank you, Hashem, for having this happen to me. I could feel my whole body tense up and get worked up. And I thought, Hashem, you know how important it is for my ego to be here. Why can't we be here? And then once I let go of that and said, okay, you know what? This is beyond me. This is in your hands. We were very grateful to the whole staff at Air Canada. And even the woman on the plane said to my husband, if I see you without your mask one more time, he was eating. How do you eat with a mask? She said, I'm going to kick you off the plane. And it was like all these hurdles to cross, but we finally came. And guess what? Nobody here is wearing a mask. It is the freakiest experience in the world to be in a city without people who mask. I'm just saying, Hashem taught us that I just had to let go and know that if I'm meant to be somewhere for whatever reason, and give Hakara Satov to every single person who even mistreated us, that's fine. If that's what I need to do to get where I need to go. That's all. Long story, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariella. Fayge, do you
Beautiful.
want to just answer that, and then we're going to wrap up because it's already a quarter to 10, I think, if I'm right. It's a 4:45 by me, so I'm not sure what time it is by you. Fayge, go ahead.
Okay, so I just see that you really put Hashem into each piece, and you recognize that each person that did something was just the shliach. They're sending you to a place because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to pick you up. He wants to elevate you. He wants to bring you closer to him. And you were able to get to that place where you saw that it was Hashem, and therefore I don't need to get worked up, and you let go. And I'm just, you're a teacher for me.